Alright, what's going on, dudes? And welcome to an overview of Minecraft version 1.5, also commonly referred to as the Redstone updates. In order to mention as many of the new features as I can in a single video, I'll have to remain fairly concise, but if you want any additional info on any of the things mentioned here, you can check the description to find links to all the videos I made on the weekly snapshots released between 1.4 and 1.5, which touches on everything with more detail. Since this is the Redstone update, we'll start off with things that are Redstone related. The new Redstone storage block is made in the same fashion as diamonds, iron, and gold storage blocks, and behaves similarly to an always-on redstone torch, but in block form. Because it can be moved by pistons, it can greatly reduce the size of certain circuits. The comparator is a block that can have many applications, but there are three primary functions. One, it can be used to detect the presence of items in a container, and, if there are items in it, output a signal proportional to the amount. Two, it can be used to compare the strength of up to 3 signals and repeat the main input signal if it is greater than or equal to the next greatest. And or 3, it can output a signal equal in strength to the main input minus the largest side input, which can be useful for inverting signal strength. Additionally, if fed by a loaded jukebox, it will output a signal equal to the disk number, and if fed by a command block, it will output a signal if the command was run successfully. The daylight detector is a block that outputs a redstone signal with a strength that varies directly with the intensity of the daylight. The signal strength peaks at noon and reaches 0 for a few minutes each night. By combining this with a comparator in subtraction mode, it can be transformed into a moonlight detector. Trap chests have all the same capabilities as a regular chest, but will also output a redstone signal when opened. This simplifies the creation of traps that involve chests, as rather than having to rely on a system to detect a block update, the chest just takes care of everything for you. Iron and gold weighted pressure plates allow for the output of a signal that's proportional to the amount of blocks resting upon it. Rather than just 2 states, on or off, dropping blocks onto the pressure plate will increase the output signal strength 1 meter at a time. Gold pressure plates are affected more readily by smaller amounts of blocks, whereas iron pressure plates require significant amounts of blocks to influence signal strength. Dispensers can now dispense prime TNT, apply bone meal to an adjacent crop, and fire by placing flint and steel inside. They can also be placed facing up or down, allowing for the dispensing of items from the floor and ceiling. Droppers are a new block that work in a similar fashion to dispensers in most cases, but vary when dispensing certain items. While dispensers can dispense certain objects as entities, arrows, fire charges, TNT being some of them, the dropper will always dispense the object in item form. It also possesses the added functionality of being able to pass objects into an adjacent container block. Hopper blocks allow for the creation of automated item transport systems. A hopper can be fed by another hopper, a chest, or even a player dropping an item into the top. From there, it will continue to feed items along into any containers next to or below it, unless it's frozen with a redstone signal. It can't pass items upwards. There are also 2 new minecart variations, one with TNT and one with a hopper. Hopper carts function in the same way as hopper blocks, but have the ability to move along tracks and collect items from containers above. Placing minecart tracks on top of hopper blocks will allow for the withdrawal of items from a hopper cart when it passes over. TNT minecarts can be set off using the new activator rail. The activator rail must itself be activated by a redstone signal, so the easiest way to accomplish this is by placing detector rails on either side of it. If the cart derails at a very high speed, it will detonate immediately, otherwise it will experience the same delay as regular TNT. Blast radius increases with the speed at which the cart is traveling, and the explosion will not destroy rails or their supporting blocks. So that just about sums it up for the new redstone related stuff, but there's plenty more to go over, so let's move along to other block changes and additions. Nether quartz is a new ore that can be found in, you guessed it, the nether, and can be used to craft quartz blocks, which themselves can be crafted into different trims for a new fancy looking aesthetic element. Netherrack can now be smelted to make nether bricks, which can be crafted into nether brick blocks. This is in order to facilitate alternative means of obtaining nether brick blocks without having to mine out the walls of nether fortresses. Beacons now have increased horizontal range and infinite upward range, allowing for them to be hidden underground, except of course for the beam, while still having an effect on the player. You can now craft what I'll call snow slabs, which are 1/8 height sheets of snow that can be stacked to allow for finer slope gradients. Block IDs 43:8 and 9 now correspond to smooth double stone slabs and smooth sandstone blocks, respectively. These blocks use the top face of the slab texture on all sides. While the smooth double stone slab has existed for as long as I can remember, the smooth sandstone slab is new. And not the most favorite of changes, but it now takes anywhere from 2 to 3 bone meal to fully grow crops, and using it results in the display of a green particle effect. Now for some changes to mobs. The rates at which slimes spawn in swamps at night now varies based upon the phase of the moon. Skeletons are now better at aiming and will shoot faster the closer you get to them, and zombies have increased aggro range, deal more damage the lower health they have, and when on fire can ignite players that they come in contact with. Mobs have also been adjusted to scale better with each difficulty setting. Now let's move on to some menu and inventory changes. The texture pack menu is now under options and allows for texture packs to be changed in-game. Chat size can be adjusted in the chat settings menu, and smooth lighting has a new intermediate setting. There's also added support for a new Mojang run server system called Minecraft Realms, but for the moment, access seems to be limited to a small, what I thought to have been randomly selected group of users, but interestingly enough, I actually had it enabled on my account while recording the audio for this. So anyway, I'm sure more info will come out about it as time goes by, as it's released to everyone. Crafting has been significantly improved and made to be much more efficient, thanks to the new function of being able to click and drag in order to evenly distribute a stack of items across the grid. Double-clicking an item will retrieve up to a stack of other like items that are distributed across your inventory, which is useful for retrieving any items that you may have done the click and drag on. There are also some newly available commands, /effect allowing for the application or removal of potion effects on players, and /test4 to determine if a player fits a given parameter. /test4 must be run on a command block adjacent to a comparator to have any sort of physical effect. There is also a new command line based score system that can keep track of things like kills and deaths and allow players to be split into teams on servers. When used in conjunction with the /test4 commands, it can actually allow for objectives to be set in adventure maps. Finally, a few miscellaneous things. Renaming spawn eggs with an anvil will cause any mob spawned by that egg to share the name, and renamed containers will now display their name when opened. Right-clicking armor will equip it, stairs won't stop you from sprinting, chests in abandoned mineshafts have been replaced with minecart chests sitting atop a rail, and you can now punch things up to 5 blocks away when in creative mode. Whew, so that's just about it. There are a few small changes I may have skipped over, so I'll link the full log in the description if you're interested. Other than that though, thanks a bunch for watching. If you've enjoyed, a rating would be much appreciated, and I'll see you next time.